Hey, what's up, Hope City family? Glad you get to join me on this Thursday night, 7 to 7. Whether you're watching now or later, whatever, doesn't matter. Just glad that you're watching. Real quick, let's talk about this past Sunday's message from Pastor John. Get used to different is the series we're on, and we're talking about some things, some real basic things, and some real deeper things. One of the things I want to talk about is when Pastor John said when you uh, when you get saved or when you accept Jesus, you should every something about you should change is what I think he said. I wrote it down, but I was in a rush and left my notes upstairs. But something should change, right? There should be a change, right? You might ask, what should change? Why should it change? And the answer is everything. Everything should change about your life, in your life, right? When the presence of the Lord, right, is upon you now, when you've accepted Jesus to walk with Jesus and be a follower of Jesus and be a servant and do the work of Jesus, right? Everything about what you were doing before should change, right? Because there's a certain power, there's a certain peace and a presence that you now walk with because of who you've accepted into your heart. I wanna share my personal story. When I was a kid, I was living in the Chicago area, and my dad was pastoring, and that we had this new convert in the congregation. Right, he just got saved on a Wednesday night service. He got saved, and he he was he was radical. He was on fire for Jesus. Loved everything that was happening. Saw some immediately saw change in his life, and he wanted to make some changes himself, and saw where he could do that and how he could do that. And later that night, after service, the same night that he accepts Jesus into his heart, he calls my dad and says, "This is Pastor Gary." And my dad's like, "Yo, what's up?" And he goes, "Have you seen the moon?" And my dad's like, "Yeah, man, I've seen the moon. What's up?" He goes, the moon, look at the moon." So my dad goes outside and he looks at the moon, and of course nothing is different about the moon, right? It's just the way he's now seeing the moon, right? The gentleman that had just gotten saved. He said, "The moon is awesome. I love the moon. I can't believe it's so big. It's so bright. The moon is great." And my dad's like, "Yeah, this is awesome, dude. So cool. I'm glad you're enjoying the moon tonight." And it's what I talked about actually this past Wednesday, ties in great with what I talked about. So yeah, yesterday, talking great about this whole subject of seeing things differently. What I said to my teenagers, which I didn't get to do the whole sermon last night because we did some things differently, but it was awesome. But what I did get to say in my sermon is that in this natural realm that you have to, if you want to elevate in the natural, you have to pay. It comes at a cost, right? If I stay in a hotel on the first floor, I may pay $199 a night or whatever, $99 a night. But somebody else could stay in the same hotel and pay 10 grand a night, right? What's the difference? We're staying in the same hotel. The difference is what you see. And what you see is dependent on where you're seated. Okay? So they have a whole different view. The people paying $10,000 a night have a whole different view. They see things I don't get to see. And we had a king, right, that traded in his crown. And the reason it's hard for somebody who doesn't believe to comprehend salvation is because it's hard for them to think and comprehend a king that would pay money, right, for decrease. Okay, he traded in the penthouse for the basement, right? He traded in first class to be under the plane, right? He traded it all, and he paid for it so that he could become us, right? And that's the crazy thing about salvation is that he gave it all in when he had everything, right? And he didn't have to do that for us. Then Pastor John goes on to talk about later in his sermon. He goes on to talk about the fire, right? And he talks about how we deal with the fire, and he said more about it, but because of 7 to 7, I'm going to condense. he goes on to talk about the fire and how the enemy wants us to freak out about the fire, and the enemy has a specific way he wants us to respond to the fire. So what do we do? And the fire is circumstantial, right? It's things that we come up against that might hinder us or distract us, right, from Jesus. And the he wants us to respond a different way. And Pastor John goes on to talk, and he starts to say you get to start praying about the fire because the enemy is attacking you, right? And what you're actually doing is magnifying the fire. You're magnifying the circumstance rather than the victory that Jesus already has, that was already taken for us, right? You are magnifying the problem instead of magnifying the already been given solution to the thing, right? When you pray about it, when you freak out about it, I'm not saying don't pray over your fire, right? I'm not saying don't pray over it, but it doesn't need to be a thing that you go on and you make a big deal about. I'm talking about it's the way you pray. I'm talking about you don't want to pray from a victim standpoint. You want to pray victoriously, right, over whatever it is that you come up against. Okay, and you want to pray from victory. You want to say, God's got this. He's got it under control. He's got me in the palm of his hand. I don't need to worry about nothing. I'm not going to respond poorly to this fire. And it doesn't matter where you're seated, right, because of what you can see. Okay, if you're seated with Jesus, if you're seated in heavenly places, if you've accepted Jesus into your heart, he's got a seat for you at his table, and what you see is victorious. What you see is his presence. What you get to experience is his love that washes over you. What do you get to experience are brand new mercies every day. I think it's Psalms 34 verse 3, dang it, or 33 verse 4 that says, let us exalt the Lord and magnify his name together. Okay? Whatever you magnify is going to seem greater. Okay? If you magnify the circumstance in your prayer, the circumstance is going to follow you. Right? You're not getting rid of it. You are actually building it. You are feeding the fire, so to speak. Okay? If you magnify the victory that's already been won, that's already been taken, you are not going to have to step with that thing many days, okay, of your life. Or it could be moments, right? If you could come up to something so hard and it could hit you like a brick wall, but you could tear it down, right? Brick by brick with the way you pray, right? With the words that you speak over it to God, right? So I know I'm at time, but thanks for hanging out with me tonight. So pray from a sense of victory, right? See things differently, because when you change, when you accept Jesus, your point of view from victim should be changed to a point of view of victory. Okay. So thanks for hanging out with me tonight. I appreciate you guys. Go and be blessed. See you guys on Sunday. I can't wait. Scott Kuhn, don't miss it.